Welcome to Chapter 14. We're going to cover this entire chapter instead of just a brief overview. We're going to go through the main points. Again, this is not a substitute for reading the chapter. It is rather something closer to what we would do in class. Welcome to Chapter 14. We're going to talk about the foundations of control, and that is controlling the organization from beginning to end. Now, this is a similar chapter to what we discussed earlier in planning, strategic and tactical planning, those types of things. So it should not be completely unfamiliar to you, some of the concepts that is. But I'll walk you through and hit the highlights, and we'll see what we can come up with. Here are the learning objectives, as you've been accustomed to seeing. Nature and importance of control. Control and measuring are the two things that we want to understand. We want to understand, that we're taking information and we're using it to make corrective actions and controlling the activities of our organization in order to remain or become competitive. Oops, I'm sorry. So here's planning control link. So remember I mentioned planning, which we had talked about before. Controlling are those things, and we've talked about all three of these now, but this last one, standards, measurements, comparisons, and actions. It all is part of this recipe for organizational well-being and profitability. So 3 steps. As you can see in this chart, and this chart's replicated in your text, we're going to measure things. Okay, we've got goals, we've got standards, we have a comparison to actual performance, to identified performance, or what we've actually measured, and then we take action from there. So, is the standard being attained? Is the variance, if it's different, acceptable? If not, we need to revise the standard. If it is, we need to identify the cause. Performance measuring. Performance measuring is, personal observations, statistical, oral reports. All these things weigh into, and it's a dynamic environment. So we're looking at a lot of things in this regard. Probably most of what you see, after the fact will be written reports. But without a doubt, the other things are going on at a high rate. So what do we use for criteria for measurement? Well, here they have an example of a hospital, and you've got obviously physical characteristics such as a temperature, which would be a measure of control, wait times. There's lots of different things. Compare the goals. This is where the statistical analysis, if it's in range or out of range. There you go. There's just a good example. The book is really does a good job of laying this out. Corrective actions, training programs, potentially if you detect a systemic problem, that kind of thing where it's constantly coming up, it's not a part of somebody not doing their job and things like that. And then if it's something that isn't a training issue, then it has to be individualized. Revise the standard. Any goals, and SMART is just an acronym for, if we're going to have goals, they need to be specific. How can we measure them? Goals aren't real goals if they can't be attained in any way, shape, or fashion. Are they relevant to the target market? And is there a time frame? Forward control, feed forward control. So we've got input, process, output. And where does control take place? It's in here. It's in all of these steps for small organizations. And this is where information technology really makes a big difference. So concurrent control is as things are going on, as processes are going on. Feedback is after the fact. Areas of managerial control, these are financial measures, which you take a finance class, you'll see what a subjective is, ratio. This is really a good example because it's something you'll run across in school for sure. Controlling information, a balanced scorecard approach. This just refers to IT and how reports are driven. A balanced scorecard, though, is looking for kind of all areas of health. It'd be like the health of an individual. It's more than physical. It's, you know, their mental health and social well-being, that kind of thing. Some of these are less easy to measure, like customer satisfaction. Now, we can look at sales. I mean, that's an ideal indicator, but there are other things that might be good for us. Contemporary issues, cross-cultural differences. We've talked about this a great deal. Some things may be more important in other cultures. Systems, you know, if you're doing what this individual's doing, there might be different control things. Workplace challenges. Without a doubt, you can be monitored. Your keystrokes can be monitored, and maybe are. You give up a lot of privacy rights at work, so bear that in mind. Employee theft, they call that shrinkage sometimes, where people steal inventory. That's where you might want to, this is where tags such as barcodes, scanning RFID tags, you can do some research on that, have come to be very important for a lot of organizations. Workplace violence, another area, security, especially highlighted in a lot of the news today. Entrepreneurial ventures. You know what, this one I don't think we need to worry about. I'm not going to cover that in the quizzes, but you make sure you read through the normal parts, the regular parts of the chapter, and we will call it good. Take care and do your best.